What if I told you that the secret to getting rich isn't grinding harder, saving every penny, or finding some magical investment strategy? What if the real secret is something so simple that most people completely overlook it? And once I figured it out, everything changed. 3 years ago, I was that guy, refreshing my bank account every morning, praying that somehow overnight my balance had magically grown. Spoiler alert, it never did. I was working crazy hours, cutting every expense I could think of, even arguing with myself about whether that $5 coffee was worth it. I remember one particularly embarrassing moment when my card got declined buying groceries. The cashier gave me that sympathetic look while I frantically called my bank, pretending there was some mistake. There wasn't. I was just broke, and I was doing everything I thought I was supposed to do to fix it. Then one day, my cousin Mickey, who always seemed to have money for everything, said something that stopped me in my tracks. We were at lunch, and I was calculating whether I could afford dessert when he ordered 3 different dishes just to try them. I asked him how he always had money. His answer? "I stopped thinking like a poor person," he said. At first, I was offended, but he explained what he meant, and it completely blew my mind. He said poor people focus on how much things cost, while rich people focus on how much things are worth. This one distinction changed my entire financial life. When I was broke, I looked at everything through the lens of immediate cost. That business course? Too expensive at $200. That networking event? $50 I didn't have. That book everyone was recommending? $15 I could use for lunch instead. But here's what I missed completely. I wasn't considering the value these things could bring. That business course could teach me skills worth thousands. That networking event could introduce me to my next employer. That book could contain the exact strategy I needed. The shift happened when I stopped asking, "Can I afford this?" and started asking, "Can I afford not to do this?" Let me give you the exact example that proved this works. I was hesitant to spend $300 on a professional development workshop. Old me would have immediately said no. New me asked different questions. What skills will I learn? How could these skills increase my earning potential? I went to that workshop, learned digital marketing, met someone who became a client, and made back that $300 within 2 weeks. But here's the kicker. The skills I learned there have generated over $47,000 for me since then. That's a 15,600% return on investment. Another breakthrough moment. I wanted to upgrade my ancient laptop that crashed constantly, but kept putting it off because the good one cost $1,200. When I shifted my thinking, I realized the time I was losing to crashes was costing me way more than $1,200. That laptop paid for itself in the first month through increased productivity. Speaking of smart investments, one thing that accelerated my wealth building was subscribing to the Motley stock research service. They break down complex investment opportunities into simple, actionable advice that's perfect for this value-focused mindset. But here's where it gets really interesting. This mindset shift didn't just change how I spent money, it changed how I made money. When you start thinking in terms of creating value rather than cutting costs, you naturally start looking for opportunities to provide value to others. I stopped seeing my job as just trading time for money and started seeing it as an opportunity to create so much value that they couldn't afford to lose me. I began looking for problems I could solve and processes I could improve. Within 6 months of adopting this mindset, I got promoted with a 35% salary increase. Not because I worked longer hours, but because I worked differently. I was thinking about impact instead of just showing up. Then I started applying this thinking to side projects. Instead of looking for ways to make quick cash, I asked what valuable skills I had that could solve real problems for people. I discovered I was good at explaining complex topics, so I started offering tutoring services. The demand was incredible because I was providing genuine value. If you're getting value from this story so far, hit that like button to let me know this mindset shift resonates with you. And subscribe, because what I'm about to share next is the mistake that almost derailed everything. Here's what nearly destroyed my progress. I got cocky and started confusing expenses with investments. I bought a fancy watch thinking it was an investment in my image. I upgraded my apartment way beyond what I needed, calling it an investment in my productivity. That's when Mickey had to set me straight again. He said, there's a difference between investing in yourself and lying to yourself. Real investments generate returns. Everything else is just expensive. A fancy designer bag that doesn't improve your life, that's an expense. Professional clothing that makes you more confident in interviews, that's an investment. Expensive gadgets you don't need, expense. Tools that help you work more efficiently, investment. The key is learning to distinguish between what drains value and what creates value. This doesn't mean ignore costs entirely. It means getting smarter about where your money goes. 3 years later, I'm not just financially stable. I'm building real wealth. I own assets that generate passive income. I have 6 months of expenses saved. I can take calculated risks because I have a foundation beneath me. But the best part? Money stress doesn't control my life anymore. I make decisions based on what adds value, and the money takes care of itself. Here's the framework I use now for every financial decision. First, I ask, what's the potential return? Not just financial, but in terms of skills, relationships, or opportunities. Second, I consider the opportunity cost. What am I giving up by not doing this? Third, I evaluate whether this moves me closer to my long-term goals. This thinking even transformed how I approach investing. Instead of trying to pick individual stocks based on hunches, I focus on understanding businesses that create real value. That's why I love the Motley Fool's research. They teach you to think like an owner, not a gambler. Their stock advisor service has helped millions of people build wealth by focusing on companies with strong fundamentals and long-term growth potential. I've put their link in the description if you want to start thinking like a real investor instead of just hoping for quick gains. The beautiful thing about this mindset is that it compounds. The more you focus on creating value, the more valuable you become. The more valuable you become, the more opportunities come your way. It's a virtuous cycle that builds momentum over time. So here's my challenge for you. For the next week, every time you're about to make a financial decision, pause and ask yourself, am I thinking about cost or value? What would change if I focused on the potential return instead of just the price tag? Start small, be smart about it, but start thinking like someone who understands that wealth isn't about having money. It's about creating value. Your future self will thank you. What's one investment you've been putting off because of the cost? Drop it in the comments and let's figure out the real value together.